Good Tuesday, 3 o'clock sharp, and welcome to the Father's Chair. This is Deconstruct to Construct, where we break down the myth, the pain, the silence around fatherhood so we can build, so we can rebuild stronger and more intentional fathers for the next generation. This is Fumani N. Shilivana. I'm a father of 3 children, and I am sure of it. As I said last time, this is a series about the 4 types of fathers that we have in our society that we spoke about. So I mentioned that we have the absent father, which that's what we touched on last time, the present but emotionally distant father, which is today's topic. The next one will be the denied father. And the next one will be the present and involved father. Like I said, there's an argument that there is 5 type of fathers that are there that we'll see if we grow to that. If we grow to that particular father and touch on that father. So thanks for joining me today. For those who are joining for the first time, welcome, and please click subscribe, comment. Let's grow this community. Let's grow this community so we can bring back our culture of fathers that are involved. Because this whole issue and myth that fathers are not involved, I don't buy that. There's, as I mentioned in the last episode, checking our last episode where we kind of break down what is the reason or some of the reasons that create fathers not to be involved. Actually, we have a guest. We'll have a guest in one of our episodes soon that we spoke to, Mr. Mavasa, who will be coming on board, where his father was immigration labor worker. So we're going to delve into that and break down that particular one of the reasons why we have no father. So as I said, today we are talking about fathers who are in the house. No, this man is in the house, but emotionally is not there. But he's there for all the other things. So that's what we want to talk about. But before we talk about that, I touched on how sometimes circumstances, put us as fathers in a position where, we have to do certain things. There's nothing as difficult as hard as the fact that you know that you're a provider, and the whole provision thing. It's. I find that it has been squared so much that it means one thing. It means money. If you don't have money, therefore you're not a provider. And we've seen fathers who caved into that particular term and disappeared because of it. Others committed suicide because they couldn't handle the pressure. Whilst in provision and being a provider, it's not only the money part. The emotional part is very important. The communication part is very important. Being involved in all the little things that make a unit is very important. In creating things together, in talking about things together, in being a unit together. Because one of the most difficult things I tend to see is that when we are in a partnership together, it's very important that we describe roles very importantly to know what's what in the space, so that we can be able to create this whole involvement spectrum together. Because we find out that we end up putting so much pressure on one point, whilst we could have actually discussed on how do we find ourselves in a position where we create an environment that is conducive for the whole family. Because when we meet about love and fondness of each other. We think about feelings, and it's all about, oh, I like you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But because we don't discuss things, we don't agree on things, we have set ideas in our minds, and this is both men and women. If you are a man, you need to do this. If you're a woman, you need to do this. We create these positions. We create these places where we have this father who's very aloof. This father who thinks me, I'll wake up, I go to work, I come back, there's money in the house, that's it. You know, all the other things, they don't matter. I mean, how do you become a person who? Because remember, we've got values and character and things that we want to impart in these kids, in these children of ours. We want to do that. How do you then do that if you're not involved? How do you then participate in shaping these minds, in shaping better human beings if you're not involved? How do you then make sure that your values, because I doubt there's any parent who want to bring a child in this world and just let the world bring it up and just let the world to teach it. You need to impart values in this person. And whether you like it or not, for the fact that you are there are values that will be imparted in you, I love giving this example all the time. If there's one thing that I'll never do in my life is bash my father to say no, he never said I love you to me. I'll never bash him for that. Dog, some of my characters in terms of standing on certain things, like if there's one thing I've never done and I'll never do, is to lay a hand on a woman. As much as my dad never said I love you, my dad was a cool dude. But that thing that I'm like, dude, no, we could. But the fact that he was there, I was able to learn and to know who a person I'm gonna be with, no matter how much you make my dad angry. Of course, he used to mood us, but but he would never hit my mother. Never. He would never. And those are some of the things that I took from him. So sometimes we can choose what to learn and what to grab from certain positions. You know what I'm saying? So as we say, this type of father that we want to talk about, normally is known as a provider, and provision here is not enough. What do you want to deconstruct? The father who's physically in the house but emotionally missing. The father who says, I pay the bills. What more do you want? Let's deconstruct that. Let's break it down. Let's play away from that, because there is more that you as a father could do. There is more that you as a father could impart in your children. What your uninvolvement creates in, let's take a girl child for example. Before you go to a girl child, with your wife, it can create loneliness, resentment, loss of intimacy, and all that stuff. On the girls, the girl child, one could seek love in wrong places. I once said this guy says he prefers girls with daddy issues because they are easy. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, they're easy because they only seek to impress, or rather, they only seek to be validated and want someone to hold them. See, those are some of the things that they can create. They struggle with self-worth because they don't know. But if this dad is there, do you know what daddy does for this girl? For the son, it could repeat the cycle. Ego does the same thing, struggles with vulnerability, because we need to find ourselves to be vulnerable, and so we can explore and discuss our emotions. You know what I'm saying? And in real life scenarios, you find that, as I said, Kuri, this young lady grows up, she's seeking validations in wrong places. You end up being with criminals, end up being with people who just want to hurt her. Example, I remember I was still studying acting, and this guy says, I think we're doing a play somewhere. It's like, telling this girl, because he was telling this guy, at any moment I can pull the trigger. Point is, if we find ourselves not validating our daughters, and we're just there for the sake of, could I pay the bills, I do this, and you don't create friendship with them, we create a view of the world for them, they will end up go somewhere to go seek certain things. And they might find themselves in places of danger. They might find themselves in places where people don't have their best interest at heart. And that's not what you want for your children. There's no human being, especially, that these are my kids. You wouldn't want something like that for them to go through that. So as fathers, we need to start to learn to say, okay, being involved, it means this. It's not only in a money thing. And as mothers, we need to also appreciate, Kuri, when we talk about involvement for the fathers, it's not only for them to bring in the money. You know what I'm saying? Let's create an environment in the household where these two things play together. I mean, I can talk about someone like me. I know, for example, there are certain things that I can't do in the house. But I try to find a way to make up for them. Do I always win? No, I don't. Will I always make the wife happy? No, I won't. But the fact that you must communicate these things early in time. Because me, I'm like this, I'm like that. That way, you hopefully you reduce expectations. But don't say I don't do that and not find a way to replace that because someone has to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, and we end up not finding a space where there is commonality simply because we don't communicate. Simply because we have expectations that someone must do this. This is your responsibility. But let's talk about those responsibilities so that we can elevate each other's pressures to know, in this family, this is what happens. This one. That way we become all involved. You see, I'm saying all this to try to put it on both men and women, to say the involvement of each other in our children's lives should be our responsibility. But as dads, we need to take an active part in it to say, let's view ourselves and value ourselves not only as ATMs, where sometimes you feel like, oh no, if I don't have money, I'm not worthy. You can do other things. You can do certain things to make sure that your kids feel the love, feel the appreciation, they feel your presence. What can we learn from this? Emotional presence, it creates safety and connection. There's nothing as good when the person is able to emote, to let you know how I feel about things. That way we create sort of like a fuller human being. There's nothing called a full human being. Hence I said fuller. It's such a word. But we create a human being who's at least rounded a bit, who's able to communicate their feelings, to know what's bad for them, to know what's good for them, to not go seek things outside in a space where no one has their best interest at heart. You see what I'm saying? So we need to understand that if you are absent but in the house, it does not mean it's not everything. It's not everything. There's bigger things as being a parent, because being a parent is not only you being there with the money. I do, Mus. What more do you want? Because in such cases, we can't even create a situation. I'm thinking situation where our kids think appreciation is money. We've got a scourge of sugar daddies. We know of people who go to Dubai, who knows what kind of families they come from. Maybe they think, probably it's because appreciation, it means through money. If you exchange money with me, it means you could have my soul. So those are some of the things that we can avoid. So it in a nutshell, as fathers, a father who's home but is not emotionally involved, you create a whole thing of no connection for these children. You create a vacuum. And trust you me, someone's going to come and fill it. Trust you me, someone's going to come and be part of that vacuum. Good or bad, we don't know. But point of the matter is someone will fill it. And you don't want that with your kids. You end up kids end up coming home. Oh, this kid's bakarata. This kids don't listen to me. And. But my brother, you are just there. You're not part of the household. You think your money is enough. Kids cannot be only have appreciation through money. You know what I'm saying? Kids cannot have. I put a point here when I was doing some research. Some of the impact and emotional of an emotional absent father. These are things that they do. Let's speak about the daughter. She struggled with self-worth. I'm sure I touched on this. She may grow up seeking validation from emotional and unavailable men. Relationship patterns. You see that, like I said, that guy said to me, I like guys, girls, or ladies with father issues. Because we've normalized neglect and love from their perspective of things. You see what I'm saying? So their relationship patterns, they become very messed up. Trust issues. Some of the things that they have trust issues. Harder to believe in consistency and emotional safety in relationships. What it does, it creates a mess of a human being. They end up being with people that they think they love or who love them, and they can't read those things. And next thing is 10 years later, they've got kids with these people. The cycle is repeating, and you see what such things can create. Unseen and unheard. Kids end up feeling emotionally not like they don't matter, which impact on their confidence. You know what I'm saying? And that's the girl sometimes. On the science, it becomes learned behavior. Oh, that's what must happen. Yes, there are those who, even with the ladies, who say, oh, I don't like that. Maybe I should look for a person like this. But we should create the environment at home where these kids at least have a benchmark not far from what is a good person. You know what I'm saying? Suppress emotions, the boys. They learn not to express vulnerability. Conflict identity. Conflict in identity, that as a father, you set the boundary, or rather you set the ground for identity. If that person has no identity or they don't know who they are, we'll have what we have right now in Africa, where it's a mess. It's a mess, staying role models. So they end up, guys, if there's vacuum, rest assured, someone's gonna go out and look to fill that vacuum. This is a fact. You can't go out there and leave and expect things just to be normal. It's not going to happen. It's something. There will be resentment that can come from it. Breakdown in a lot of emotional absence, increase distance and physicality of whatever inside the house. You see, in a positive way. So we need to be careful, and I'm bringing this as dads. We need to be careful on what is it that we want to construct. We need to know what is that we need to construct. Gents, just because you are home, just because you come back, just because you are a faithful father, you do things on time, you're staying in a big mansion, they can go to school with a helicopter. It's not enough, Bafetu. Let's talk as Majita now. It's not enough. We need to try to create a fuller plate for our kids. We need to try to create a fuller picture where they can learn from us. You can't be that father where the kids come, when you come home, the kids run the opposite direction. We can't be. So we need to know what is it that we're deconstructing. We are deconstructing the type of behavior to think that just because we're paying the bills, just because you are home, just because you are faithful, just because you are here, therefore it means it's enough. It's not merely enough. Have friendship with your kids. Talk to your people. Teach them. They want to learn from you. Trust me, they want to learn from you. Be open for them. I don't hit my kids, but my kids know good when I put down, I put down. I do not discuss twice. My kids ask me. They out not go play, but they will come and ask, "Yo, Dad, we're thinking to go to the next house. Can we?" No, yes. You see what I'm saying? Because they understand boundaries. So, Majida, it's up to us, mothers, let's create boundaries together so that we don't find ourselves in a position where the whole thing falls apart. You can't bring children in the world if you don't love them. You can't bring children in the world if your aim is not to impart good values in them so they can become better people in the world. Then don't make those kids. That's part of the thing that we need to deconstruct. Or rather, construct. Construct the ability to say, you know what, I'm not a good person, therefore I'm not going to make kids. I'm not healed, I've got trauma, I'm traumatized, I'm not fully whatever. Then don't make those kids. You see, it's supposed to be something that we understand. Know yourself, know thyself. Go to psychologists and try to break down yourself down to see, oh, maybe I'm not. So you can. So then, what do we construct, guys? Let's construct a better way forward. Small steps. No. Eye contact. You remember the first time? You see, at home, for example, the word "I love you," it was never said. My mother introduced it, and then it was very uncomfortable at first. But because of the practice, it's now a consistency in that house. Hell, what? My kids now, my niece and nephew, we say it easier amongst each other. And my mom, I remember when my mother introduced this, talk to them, look them in the eye. Well, of course, the eye contact thing is up to different cultures and everything, check in, hugs, and say the word "I love you." You see what I'm saying? Create an open emotional space. Let kids see the human in you. Let them see humanity. Let them explore. Let them ask questions. And you answer them earnestly. You know what I'm saying? Don't just because, no, it's a taboo. What is a taboo? I know my grandmother said to me it's a taboo. When I was asked what's a taboo, she never was able to answer. But it creates more curiosity. My mother once said to me, for money, the reason why whenever you ask questions, I would answer in such a way that it will close down the curiosity because you're going to ask anyway. You see what I'm saying? What do we need to construct? A model of connection, not silence. Challenge of this week, don't just pay off it. Also play, also pray, and also say. You know what I'm saying? Also be that guy who's intentionally involved, who is intentionally there. Go to them with them to sports and their activities, whatever they like. You see, the more we do it, it becomes easier and a relationship is created. We learn a lot of different things from that particular thing. I'll close with this. I remember saying to my son when he was young, I'll close with two things. How my son went to circumcision. I used to take showers with my boy. And you'll see me naked. Eventually, he would ask, why is mine, was different? I'll explain to him. Eventually, we took showers together until he became uncomfortable. And he's like, no, I'll do it alone. But by the time he was 10, he now came to me like, yo, I want to go do like you. You see what I'm saying? So when we become intentional, it becomes easier for them. I remember again saying to him, my son, I'm like, listen, whenever you're in trouble, I want you to come and tell me first. I must be the first point of reference when you're in trouble to come and say, yo, bruh, hey, I messed up. I said to him, if you're going to run away and not want to tell me, you're going to create a position where by the time I find out, because I'm going to find out anyway, it will be too late and we can't be able to fix whatever that had to be fixed. But there will be consequences. Even if you tell me, there will be consequences. But at least we would have fixed it. I tell you today, because it was a consistent thing that I did with him, which I'm doing with my daughters now. Whenever my son is in trouble, the first person he calls is me. When my son is faced with things that are really crazy, he's not scared to tell me, to say, yo, bruh. And I'm sure he's not scared to tell his mother too. Why is a value and a character that we instilled in him. It's a character that we make sure he knows that there will be consequences. But there's someone who's got my back more than anything. That guy and that woman. So, guys, this kind of absence is quieter. You know, it's just as painful. You know, kids grow up unseen, unloved in ways that matters most. So, what is that we're that we're constructing? So, dads, Majita, presence is more than provision. Connection is currency. Leadership is love. You know, being emotionally open is not weakness. It is courage. Start small. Listen more without rushing. Hug without reason. And ask your kids, how are you really? Yeah? So, how are you really? Lean in a bit more today. Be intentional. This is Deconstruct to Construct, the Father's Chair. Thank you for joining. This is that guy with 3 kids who's sure of it. Bye.